Hi. Before we get started training, I want to introduce my favorite girl in the world. She's my granddaughter. She just turned 5 years old and she loves hockey. So she's going to do a couple demonstrations today and I'm going to give you the correction process. But before we get started, we have to understand why you need to train on your skates. That's what's going to be unusual here. We need to start training with our skates on. And I'm not going to get into the whole science behind it. It's in my book, but I'm just going to give you some common sense. So a skate blade has, which I call knives, has maybe the width of about quarter of an inch. So then when you get into the running shoe, which almost everybody trains, their off-ice training programs in their shoes, and you have about the width of 4.5. So that in itself changes the whole neuromuscular system in training blade versus running shoe. So hence all my off-ice training is done with my skates on. So I'm going to lace my other skate. Then we're going to get into showing you 3 different patterns that you can work at home with. And then I'm going to introduce you again to Jose, and she's going to do her stick handling skills, and I'm going to provide some correction process. So bear with me as I put my skate on. So again, I cannot emphasize the change that hockey needs to make is if you're doing off-ice training, you have to include your stick handling skills. And you have to do it with your skates on. And as we move forward in the weeks, I'll explain the science in a deep knee bend, the right length of hockey stick. I'm going to provide free videos on that that's based on science. Not my opinion, but based on science. So before we get started, we have a pattern. First pattern is called popping. It's about 12 inches. And again, this is in my book, 12 inches of moving an object. Could be a puck. It could be a golf ball that you have at home. It could be a piece of paper taped up. And again, how I did this is I just grabbed a piece of paper. I rolled it up into a ball. And then I put tape around it. So this is definitely doable. Then if you have a marble at home, then you can stick handle with a marble. My favorite, because there's very little friction, is a wooden ball. And you hear the tuck, tuck, tuck as you stick handle. So you get the auditory and you get the visual. So let's get started. So I'm going to use the wooden ball. So the first pattern out of 3, as I said earlier, is in my book, is popping. It's about a 12-inch range, and I'm going to roll my wrist as I stay in that 12-inch range. And then as I was popping 12-inch, I'm going to go to my right, which is the second pattern called 2-to-2 to the right. So I'm stretched out. This is where all your head fakes take place and what have you. Then I come back to popping, and the third skill pattern is a 2-to-2 out to the left. 2-to-2 means you got 2 hands on your stick. So when I move from here, I go 2 hands to here, I come back, I pop it. This is where your fast hands happen. And then I go 2-to-2 on the left. That being said, is I'm going to bring my granddaughter in and we're going to do some stick handling. Come on in, Jose. So Jose is already, what are you learning, Jose?
Heads-up hockey.
Yeah, she's learning heads-up hockey. So that's for another video. So do you want to show us how you pop the puck?
Yeah.
Pop the puck. Very good. So what happens here, put 2 hands on your hockey stick, shows. So she's got a hand on the top of her stick, which is kind of hidden by the long sleeve. Then she has tape here for her to have the right hand position. So what we do with young players like this, 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, as Jose is we do hand over hand. So we start like this. We might even start with no object, bend your knees, bang. And we do this. So what we do is we're training the brain and the hands to move together. Then we can bring in the object because now the brain has some indication as to what she's trying to do. So then put your hands in the right place, babe, and now stick handle pop it. So this is the first pattern that we teach kids. Okay, babe, thanks. Can you go back and sit down? Thank you, she did an awesome job. So this is the first pattern that we teach kids, but ironically, this is the pattern that everybody should be working on. Fast hands allows you to skate fast. If you got slow hands, it's going to slow your skates down. I don't care how fast you are. If you want to skate fast, then you have fast hands. That's the first video.